call him Sonny Larry. Didn't you and he used to be the best of friends?
We're still the best of friends.
No, you're not.
Who says we're not?
Sit somewhere else.
Gentlemen, how are you doing today?
Good. Morning.
Fantastic. So, watching this, I found it to be particularly Irish. There's a unique sense of stubbornness from you both in this, and I was like, oh, that feels genuinely like it's from Ireland. Like it feels DNA Ireland. But it's great to see that it has travelled so well.
Yeah.
And I'm noticing this year we've got on Colin Keoghan, You Are Not My Mother, so many Irish films that are travelling so brilliantly.
Yeah.
Are you noticing that from your perspective, just how well Irish stories are doing lately?
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to be careful. There's a thing where they say to write is write what you know about, so people write about the familiar, and all that kind of stuff. But you can get caught up, and sometimes you never know till it's finished. Is this parochial, and is it lacking a kind of a sense of universality? Yeah. So what Martin has is that he gets to a depth of honesty within whatever. I mean, he went to Bruges. He went over 3 Billboards. Was over in what was the name of the place in Missouri?
Epping,
Epping, Missouri. So he locates.
He spent a lot of his childhood in this part of the world as well, where this.
No, he did. So he goes to the familiar, but it's always with a view to looking at the metaphysical rather than the local. But it's through the prism of the local, I think, possibly for us, certainly for me, my work, you've worked in both of them, but that's it, the shorthand is there immediately. And so whatever depth we find, but it's really to get to the truth, because it was gratifying to go to Venice and find out that even through a subtitle, people were laughing at the same places. Amazing. It wasn't that local at all, it turns out.
For the tourism, I guess, it's going to bring to, because watching this, I've been to Inisherin and I'm like, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
I imagine American audiences in particular will think that's a lot of production that made it look that beautiful.
Well, even Irish audience yesterday, the film opens up with a rainbow over my head, and somebody was aghast yesterday. One of our own people was aghast that wasn't a CGI rainbow.
Yeah, I just had this notion that they could kind of, you can kind of place where you can go for a stag. You can go come for a break-up tour of Ireland.
If
you have an issue with
whoever
whoever you're going with.
Bruges.
So you have to,
Bruges
one flight over,
Bruges
2 flights back.
Bruges the tour has blood splatters on every site that we shot in Bruges. This will have a little teardrop.
There you go. There you go. Broken heart.
Yeah, broken heart.
There is kind of the central theme of this that I took away from it is that in order to be creative, you have to be quite selfish. You have to be very...
Well, that's certain time and place for it, yeah.
Isn't it? That's the
question.
Yeah.
That's
he
the
needs
question.
a little bit of space. He could have been a little bit more... there's a degree of desperation about him. He doesn't really know for so long that he needs to express this stuff creatively. And he doesn't really feel... It is midlife up to a point where he feels the insignificance. And when we saw our house down in Ken Beach, Colin said to me, that must be a challenge, that beauty.
To wake up to that every day and open the door and be faced with that.
And the face of that, and more or less to feel the insignificance, but also, what are you doing to add to it?
Yeah.
You feel a little bit unworthy, which was brilliant, kind of an insight. So I don't think he understood, but now he's screaming. He has to express it. And at this, he just needs space. And it hasn't been happening, and it doesn't happen. So it is a basic thing, but I think it is a basic question, and the great thing about Martin's stuff is not answered. It's how much do you sacrifice of people who are innocent of any culpability of anything for your artistic journey? And so the two sides are kind of explored.
And art always comes as the result of a sacrifice. It might be the sacrifice of your own ignorance. It could be, the sacrifice can come in many different forms. I've never contended with the degree of consequence that you're contending with in this. In your pursuit for the kind of isolation or solitude you need to feel that you can create and feel that you can fill that gap that you're facing every day.
Around a lot and you
I do. That's what I was getting. I've missed weddings, I've missed funerals I needed to be at. I missed the birth of my first child, So there are, it was easy to kind of relate. And in seeing the film, I found it a lot easier to relate to what his character, as dramatic as it is, dynamic and as kind of macabre as it comes to be in this film, I found it very easy to understand what he was looking for as well.
Yeah, no, it was. That's the, as I said, that's the theme I took away, is that you have to create at the expense almost of having a more fun in your life. You can't have both.
Yeah.
Which I was.
H.L. Mencken said you're either out in the world living, experiencing the world or you're writing about it. You can't do both.
Yeah,
And I don't
Joyce,
necessarily agree with that as well, but there's something to it, you know.
Yeah, Joyce is. I mean, that's apparently he left Dublin because he was afraid he'd talk his novels away. Because he was, you know, he loved company, but he knew so he had to get away from the things. And the next thing he fills a whole book full of. It's such a bizarre relationship.
Stuff that he would have given away for free in the pub, you know.
Exactly, and like, you know, it's like being half in and half out of society. It's kind of at the core of the artistic experience for the most part. You need them, but you need space. You can't do without them, but it helps your creativity. So it's that dynamic.
So, just yesterday I watched Black Adam that had Pierce Brosnan in it. A few years ago we had Cillian and Liam. This year we had yourself and Barry. Next year or the year after, we've got yourself in Joker. DC seems to love having Irish guys and Irish ladies come in and just be mostly bad guys, but just be in their movies. Have you noticed like the through line of how much like the Irish have seemed to have taken over the superhero contingent? Just I've sat back and gone, oh wow, you're all in there.
Mentioned it, yeah.
I know. I don't know. There's a kind of a thing that over there that people don't quite realise. It's really. I don't think there are obviously little fads and things that people think go for the Irish thing, but it's not. It's more about they have an openness to exploring things where they haven't gone before. They're very encyclopedic in their knowledge of film and stuff. So if people are making shapes in any form across, they really are curious about it and they'll go looking for it, won't they? So I'm not sure if it's like let's put a Paddy in a let's put a Paddy in a suit, you know. It's like I think that it has to do with the work, and if they think it's an interesting work and possibilities, they'll go after it basically, you know. I mean, you can hardly see Colin.
Paddy in a spandex. Which Paddy?
Put a Paddy in a spandex.
Sounds like a Christmas toy to be on the Late Late Show. Paddy in a spandex. Stretchable Paddy.
Super Paddy.
It's a new elf on the shelf.
I never noticed it though. You're right. Yeah. It's a good few of us.
Paddy Man, we'll call it. I know. Yeah. So I'm not sure, but I do think they're the curiosity and always looking for new places and new areas.
I'm curious to see what you're going to. I know nothing about his gig, and I barely asked a half a question about it once, and he threw an eye at me, and I thought, all right, I'll leave it there. There's no spoiler alerts coming this way.
Because we do like the chat. You could get led down it. I know.
Tweeting live as you're telling me.
All I'll tell
and then you do what?
All I'll tell you is that Joaquin Phoenix he ain't Irish. There was something about him that reached into the bottom of my soul in that first Joker thing. It's one of the most magnificent performances I've ever seen, huh?
The second you saw him at the start of the film,
so confusing.
Just his bearing, everything about.
I mean, that's proper art, that right there.
Tremendous gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
I can't be waiting around for any more of this madness.
Let's just call it quits. We won't call it quits. We'll call it the start.